the next is what is priming of a centrifugal pump, why it is necessary. See, in the beginning I told you, while discussing the basic concepts, constructional features and working of centrifugal pump, I told you, see, at the beginning of the suction pipe, we have a foot valve and a strainer. So foot valve is a unidirectional valve and that will allow the liquid flow only in one direction. So the liquid once enter will not go out through the downward path. When you switch off the pump, the liquid remains in these portions, in the casing and in the impeller, in the entire suction pipe, that will remain there because this foot valve is a unidirectional valve. If it is damaged, then the consequence is different because that liquid will go out through the suction pipe in the vertically downward direction. And now what is priming and why it is required? Normally, in a common sense language, we can say we have to get rid of the air pockets in this, in the vicinity of the impeller, the casing, the suction pipe, etc. So when the pump is switched on, these portions should be filled with the liquid to be pumped. And you have to evacuate these, you have to remove air pockets from the pipeline. So you have to remove the air pockets from the casing, from the impeller and from the entire suction pipe and fill these portions with the liquid to be pumped before the pump is switched on. So the priming is the process of filling the entire suction pipe, the casing and a portion of the delivery pipe up to the delivery valve, that is up to this portion. The entire suction pipe, the casing, the impeller and the portion of the delivery pipe up to the delivery valve has to be filled with the water to be pumped, and this process is called priming. And air from these parts then will be removed. When the impeller rotates in a liquid, then what is a head developed or head imparted by the liquid or oiler head, the theoretical head imparted by the impeller on the liquid being pumped, that is equal to VW to U2 divided by G, that much meters of that liquid. That is the oiler head. So the oiler or theoretical head in the case of centrifugal pump, when VW1 is 0, so that oiler head is given by VW to U2 divided by G, that much meters of the pumping liquid. If the impeller rotates in air, the theoretical head imparted by the impeller to the air, that is equal to VW to U2 by G meters. But remember, that much meters of air. When impeller rotates in water, then the head developed or head imparted, oiler head imparted by the impeller to the fluid, that is also equal to VW to U2 by G. But the numerical value is the same. But remember, the unit is meters of water in that case. So what I mean to say is, when impeller rotates in air, VW to U2 by G meters of air is developed. And if the impeller rotates in water, VW to U2 by G meters of water is developed. So what do you know about X meters of water and X meters of air? See the density difference of water and air. Water is nearly 1000 times denser than air. Therefore, X meters of air, that pressure head will be very much less than X meters of water. So if the impeller runs in air, VW2 U2 by G meters of air is developed. That is the head imparted. If the impeller runs in water, VW2 into U2 by G, that much meters of water is the head imparted. But even if the numerical values are same, so much meters of air, say VW to U2 by G meters of air is negligible compared to VW to U2 by G meters of water. So therefore, if the impeller runs in air, it will not be able to lift a heavier liquid such as water. So thus, what is the essential condition? In order to lift water, the impeller should rotate fully in water. Then only the required manometric head sufficient to lift water will be developed. So therefore, whatever liquid you want to pump, so you have to ensure that those portions, the entire casing, the impeller, the entire suction pipe and the portion of the delivery pipe up to the delivery valve, these portions should be filled with the liquid to be pumped before the pump is switched on. Then only the required manometric head sufficient to lift that liquid will be developed. This is the necessity of priming. So next we will consider a numerical problem. See, this is a numerical problem. A centrifugal pump lifts 2.5 meter cube per minute of water to a height of 20 meters through a pipeline of 10 centimeter diameter. The total length of the pipeline is 110 meters. Assuming an overall efficiency of 75% and an inlet loss of 0.3 meters, find the power required to drive the pump. Take coefficient of friction F is equal to 0.012. That is Darcy's coefficient of friction. So here the discharge is given. The discharge is denoted by Q. Q is equal to 2.5 meter cube per minute. What is the SI unit of discharge? That is meter cube per second. So we will convert 2.5 divided by 60 will give you the discharge in meter cube per second. What is that? Q is equal to 0.04167 meter cube per second. Since it is a big unit, you retain the number of decimal places here. For necessary accuracy, whenever you mention the discharge in meter cube per second, so you should take sufficient number of decimal places. Now, what is the static head here? HS plus HD. And here it is given, the split up is not given. So you have to pump or you have to lift this 2.5 meter cube per minute of water to a height of 20 meters. So the suction head or suction lift and delivery lift, suction head and delivery head separately, they are not provided. But so you have to assume that this 20 meters is the sum of suction head and delivery head. And in technical language, we say that is a static head. So you have to assume that the total static head here, HS plus HD, that is equal to 20 meters. And what is the pipeline length? Pipeline length is 110 meters. See again, what about the suction line and delivery line? You have to assume that that is the total one. Say LS plus LD, suction pipe length and delivery pipe length. Total is 110 meters. And through a pipeline of 10 centimeter diameter. So the pipe diameter, so suction and delivery in this case, we will assume that the diameter is 10 centimeter. So in other words, we are not going to split the details for suction pipe and delivery pipe, and we don't want to treat it separately, but we will combine them and use. See here, what is the total head against which the pump has to work? Here the manometric head. See, manometric head is the total head against which the pump has to work. What is that? The usual expression is HS plus HD plus HFS plus HFD plus Vd square by 2G. Vd is the velocity of liquid in the delivery pipe. Here water is being pumped. So HS plus HD, that is H static, here it is 20 meters. And HFS, HFD, we don't know, we have to find out. Let's say HFS and HFD together is equal to HF because we don't want to split the suction pipe details and delivery pipe details separately. So we want to treat them combined. Plus any other losses, of course. I told you while explaining manometric head, we have to consider all the losses into account. You know, if the inlet loss like this is given, see here it is given the inlet loss is 0.3 meters. So you have to consider that also. That must be added with this manometric head expression. So HS plus HD plus HFS plus HFD plus VD square by 2G plus any other loss, that will be the manometric head, and that is the total head against which the pump has to work. And what is the area of the pipe? It may be suction pipe or delivery pipe. That is pi by 4 d square, and the diameter is given as 10 centimeter. So in meters it is 0.1 meter. So pi by 4 into 0.1 square, that is equal to 0.00785 meter square. From the discharge, we can find out the velocity by using this area of the pipe. So what is the velocity of water in the pipe, say suction pipe or the delivery pipe? So V, let's commonly represent by V. V is equal to Q divided by A, where A is the area of suction pipe or delivery pipe. So assume that Vs is equal to Vd is equal to V. Velocity of water in suction pipe, delivery pipe, you know, they are same, represented by V here, that is equal to Q divided by A. The discharge in meter cube per second is 0.04167 divided by the area of the pipe we calculated now, 0.00785 meter square. So what do you get? The velocity is equal to 5.305 meter per second. Please check this calculation. So the velocity of liquid in the suction pipe and delivery pipe is treated as same, that is equal to 5.305 meter per second. Now, once you know the velocity, the length of the pipe, diameter of the pipe, and the Darcy's coefficient of friction, then you can find out the frictional head loss, which of course in this case we are combining HFS and HFD and treating it as HF. So that is 4FLV square by 2GD. Okay, and H static is HS plus HD, that is 20 meters. And the diameters of suction and delivery both are treated as same, 10 centimeter. The length of suction pipe plus length of the delivery pipe, total pipeline length we consider as 110 meters. Then overall efficiency is given, which is equal to 75%, that is 0.75. What is overall efficiency? It is the ratio of manometric power to shaft power in the case of pumps. So overall efficiency is equal to P suffix mano divided by P suffix shaft. And we have to find out the power required to drive the pump. What is that? Shaft power required to drive the pump. We have to find out the mechanical power input to be given to operate this particular pump should be found out. Now we will find out the head loss due to friction collectively for both suction and delivery pipes. So HF is equal to 4 times F is 0.012, then the length 110 meters, velocity we found out 5.305, that square, then divided by 2GD, 2 times 9.81 gravitational acceleration into the diameter of the pipe is 0.1 meters. So if you calculate, you will get head loss due to friction combinedly for both suction pipe and delivery pipe, sum of HFS and HFD as 75.737 meters of liquid. Remember, you have to lift only 20 meters. You have to lift water to a height of just 20 meters. See, the frictional head you have to overcome is 75.737 meters. So that means the total head requirement is 75.735 plus the static head 20 meters plus other losses. And of course, the velocity head of liquid in the delivery pipe. So it gives a practical point of view, you know, how much head is required and what should be the rating of pump to achieve this task of pumping through a height of 20 meters. So the manometric head is equal to HS plus HD plus HFS plus HFD plus VD square by 2G plus any other loss, which in this case is given, that is the head loss at inlet is given to be 0.3. So HS plus HD together 20 meters, static head, HFS, HFD together we have calculated now 75.737. then plus velocity of liquid in the delivery pipe, we found out 5.305 meter per second, that square by 2g, that is the velocity head. 5.305 square by 2 into 9.81, you will get 1.434 meters of water in this case, and the head loss at inlet is 0.3 meters of water. See, all these together, you will get 97.471 meters of liquid. See, this conveys a lot of ideas. The static head is just 20 meters, but you have to overcome a head which is nearly 100 meters. So in order to lift water to a height of just 20 meters, you require a pump with a rating of which is capable enough to develop a total head of 100 meters. So the pump has to work against a total head of 97.47 meters of liquid, referring to the details given in the question. So as per the details given in the question, the manometric head or the head required to overcome or head against which this given pump has to work is 97.471 meters of liquid. Now we will find out the shaft work. How do you find out? Overall efficiency is manometric power by shaft power. So shaft power is equal to manometric power divided by overall efficiency. What is manometric power? We know that it is rho QG into HM. What is HM? HM is the manometric head. So rho QG HM divided by overall efficiency. Rho is 1000 kilogram per meter cube. Discharge is 0.04167 cubic meter per second. G 9.81 meter per second squared. Gravitational acceleration. And HM is 97.471 meters of water. And if you take the product and divide it by 0.75, that is overall efficiency, you will get 53,125.94 watts. And in kilowatts, you divide this by 1000, you will get 53.126 kilowatt. Now the next topic is minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump. If you do not have any doubt, then I'll proceed and try to complete this portion also today. So we have, I think, we have 10 more minutes. Suppose the impeller runs at a lower speed. And in that case, even if the motor is switched on, impeller starts rotating, the priming requirements are fulfilled, but even then the pump will not deliver the discharge at the outlet side. Main requirement is that there should be a certain minimum RPM required for the impeller to start commencing the discharge at the outlet side or at the delivery exit. So the minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump has got some relevance. There is a term like minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump. It is the minimum value of the rotational speed of the impeller required to start discharge at the delivery exit. So which we represent by n suffix minimum. So that is a minimum speed required for the impeller to commence discharge at the delivery exit. And what is the condition for discharge to start at, or the minimum starting speed required by the centrifugal pump? See, the essential condition is this one. So you should understand this part. Centrifugal head developed must be greater than the manometric head, HM. So that centrifugal head developed, or increase in centrifugal head rather you could say, that is U2 square minus U1 square by 2G. So that contributes to the increase in static pressure head also. So U2 square minus U1 square by 2G, that is the centrifugal head developed by the centrifugal pump, and that must be greater than or equal to the manometric head requirement, that is the total head against which the pump has to work. So in order to commence the discharge at the delivery exit, the centrifugal head developed must be greater than or equal to the manometric head requirement. So U2 square minus U1 square by 2G must be greater than or equal to HM. This is the necessary and essential condition. for discharge to start at the delivery side. In other words, then only the pump will start working. Working in the sense it will start delivering water. So U2 square minus U1 square by 2G is equal to HM. What is U2? U2 is pi D2 N by 60. See, when this condition is fulfilled, we can say that N is N minimum. So therefore, pi D2 N minimum by 60 whole square minus pi D1 N minimum by 60 whole square. So U2 square minus U1 square divided by 2G, that is equal to HM. So what is this? See, when you simplify this one, so you can simplify this, of course. See, 1 by 2G in the denominator, you can take it out, 1 by 2G. Then this pi by 60 can be taken out. So pi by 60 square is there. Then N minimum square, that also is common, you can take out. Then what remains within bracket is D2 square minus D1 square is equal to HM. So this N minimum is the quantity we want to find out. So N minimum square is equal to taking all the terms to the other side other than this N minimum square. So N minimum square is equal to 2GHM by D2 square minus D1 square into 60 by pi whole square. So when you simplify that, you will get the required expression. Let it be as it is. So this is also required in some cases when manometric head is directly available. You can make use of this equation to find out N minimum. So find out this quantity and take square root of that, because this is N minimum square. So N minimum square is this much when manometric head is readily available. But when you are asked to derive an expression for N minimum, you have to proceed further. That means you have to incorporate the manometric efficiency also into the picture. So we know that manometric efficiency for a centrifugal pump is equal to manometric power divided by impeller power or Euler power in the denominator. So manometric power is rho Q G H M and impeller power is rho Q into VW2 U2. So therefore, what you can get is when you simplify the manometric efficiency for a centrifugal pump with world velocity at inlet VW1 is equal to 0 is given by this expression, this simple expression. This is a very handy expression. You have to remember this one. Eta manometric efficiency of the centrifugal pump is equal to GHM divided by VW2 U2. This is applicable when VW1 is 0. A brief summary of the relations which we obtained so far. Expression for N minimum square, that is equal to 2GHM divided by D2 square minus D1 square into 60 by pi whole square. And now further we want to simplify this. So if you simplify further, it will be like this. See, this N minimum square is equal to, see what I want to do is, I want to substitute for HM. N minimum square is here. On the right hand side, I have the manometric head. This term HM is replaced by eta mano into VW2 U2 divided by G. So substitute this 3 in this equation 2. So what you can get is N minimum square is equal to 2G into this H. Instead of HM, I am going to substitute eta mano into VW2 U2 by G into 60 by pi square, then into 1 by, the denominator is written in the last. So 1 by D2 square minus D1 square. So what is N minimum square from this? The algebraic simplification. So that will give you an expression like this. But one important thing, again you have in VW2 U2, you have one U2. And that U2 again has to be replaced by what? Pi D2 N minimum by 60. Because ultimately this N minimum now will come on both sides. Here N minimum square is there on the left hand side. On the right hand side there will be one N minimum. Now when you simplify this, see, important thing, I repeat, this U2 must be replaced again by pi D2 N minimum by 60. So now on this equation, n minimum will be there on both sides. Left hand side n minimum squared and right hand side n minimum. So please simplify this, and then one n minimum from both sides can be cancelled, and finally you will get the minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump to commence discharge at the delivery exit is given by 120 eta mano into VW2 into D2 divided by pi into D2 square minus D1 square. So especially when the world velocity component at outlet VW2 is available, D2 diameter of the impeller at outlet is available, manometric efficiency is available, and inlet diameter of the impeller is also available, then you will be in a position to find out the minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump which is required to start discharge at the delivery exit. So with this, I wind up this lecture. Thank you so much.